Hey, Steve Zook here. Welcome back to Poke Zoo Channel and the Guitar Ladder System. Let's all try to stay positive and get through these crazy times we're in right now. Don't let it rob you of your joy. But this is a great time to make some really good goals in terms of improving your guitar playing. That's why I'm really suggesting to people they just order the Guitar Ladder System. Just buy the Guitar Ladder System. It's only $199. You can buy it at stevezookguitars.com. It's thousands of dollars of information. And if you're a little stuck, or you need to be honest with yourself, you haven't made the progress that you want to make, the last few years, or whatever. You want to learn to get all up and down the neck with chordal improvisation and begin to hear your own musical ideas, your own musical point of view. Begin to understand music on a more, intuitive level, and not just intuitive. It's a matter of kind of creating a guitar teacher in your head. Because by learning my different chord cycles, and I've got an analogy here. This has been one of the most, to be real honest about it, this has been one of the most difficult things I've ever had to explain, because learning art is different than like learning how to rebuild a car engine or putting something together, or learning to be an engineer where you have step one, step two, it's all the same. With music, it's a matter of what I call seeding the subconscious mind. There's a whole science connected to this called neuroplasticity. And it has to do with the way that you learn through the subconscious mind and being positive, and actually not being so results oriented, so you can create an open channel to creating a reservoir of knowledge that then, even when you're not playing your guitar, your subconscious mind can begin to compare and contrast. And I've sold over 9,000 courses, and the emails I get from people are just incredible. People have been playing guitar forever sometimes, and then all of a sudden, but they've never been able to compose or write, or kind of, they've heard some of their own original ideas. Some people have told me they've even heard their own original ideas sleeping, but they've never been able to find it. But once they begin to work the guitar course, and everybody's different in terms of time, but the best way to do it is not to focus on results and just be positive and be in the here and now. But it really works, folks. It's a couple hundred studies. I do not send it all at once. It's not effective that way. You need to email me every couple of weeks or whatever for another study. But I thought of an analogy, and try to wrap your mind around this, because if you understand this, you're probably going to want to go buy the Guitar Ladder System. And if you put in code 77897 in the comment box, I'll include you for the bonus material, which I usually send down the road a little bit, because you need a little bit of a foundation to get it. If you don't see the comment box, just put that number that I just said in the in an email to me. You can send it to me at pokezoo@gmail.com. But here's the analogy. I don't know, it's probably been a long time since some of you have done this. Maybe when you were kids you did it. But if you ever do one of those puzzles where there's seriously like 100 different pieces at least, and they're all on a table, right? And you have a box. At the top of the box, it's got a picture of how the puzzle looks when all the little mini pieces are all put together, whether it's a scene of a mountain scene, or whatever it might be. That's kind of like the Guitar Ladder System. The Guitar Ladder System gives you all these little pieces of the whole pie, and then your own subconscious mind begins to put them together. Now, but this is almost like more multi-layered. Like, if you can imagine, I know it sounds like Star Trek, imagine like a picture. If there is such a thing as a picture of music and musical improvisation, look at it as a complete picture, and then put like 1,000 different levels, like this level, this level, this point of view, this point of view, this point of view, this point of view, because all my chordal studies have a different point of view, and show you different things, but they all connect. Like cycle 1, you learn about smooth voice leading and diminished connecting, major 7, but there's no thinking necessary in my Guitar Ladder System. You just play the studies and let it soak in. But that's the visual I want you to think about. And if any of the, if you're a little stuck, or you haven't made the progress you've wanted to make the last few years, my suggestion, just go to stevezookguitars.com, invest the $199. I'll give you a whole year to try it. I want you to, it's not going to take that long for results, but you can do the system for a whole year. And if you don't agree with me, you've made a lot of progress, I'll refund every penny. This is for new customers. I want you to try it for a year. It's not going to take you a year to get results. You'll actually start getting results with the first study you play, but you won't notice the results for a while, because it takes time to kind of seed the subconscious mind. Those musical seeds need to grow. But it's about waking up your musical ear. It's about waking up your musical mind. It's about creating a musical mind. It's about creating a reservoir of knowledge. Like I said before, picture one of those puzzles that I used to work. I'm 67. I used to work when I was a little kid, where you dump out all the pieces on the table, and there's like 130 little pieces. But you keep looking at the picture on the top of the box that shows what it looks like when you get all the little pieces together. Then you start looking for a piece, and it connects to one other piece, connects to another piece. But picture that visual on like maybe 1,000 different layers. That's kind of like what the guitar ladder system's like, because you learn chord families, and you're, like I said, you're building a reservoir of knowledge, and learning how everything connects together. And our subconscious mind, folks, is so powerful. I'm not saying it's not good to know some theory, know some formulas, but that really seriously slows you down, because music and art is kind of a Zen-like thing. So my suggestion is that, procrastinate your procrastination. Go ahead and invest the $199. Like I said, I'll give you a whole year to work my system. If you don't agree with me that after a year you've made some tremendous musical growth, it's like going downhill on a bike. It happens naturally, because you're going to create a reservoir of knowledge in your subconscious mind. And so like that's cycle 1 that I just did. And cycle 2, you add the shading with the major 13 flat 5. And then when you find something that works, you just keep milking it. And for those of you that are already in the guitar ladder system, take some of my studies and improvise off of them. Create something off of it. Don't worry if it sounds good or doesn't sound good. Just make that effort. But my suggestion is, if you love guitar and you love music and you'd like to not be so predictable, you don't want to sound like everybody else, sure, you're going to reflect players that you love, but if you'd like to discover some of your own musical point of view, there's nothing more joyful. Just go to stevezookguitars.com, scroll down. You do not have to be a member of PayPal to order. Invest the $199. Let's get you going. No, there's not a lot of theory. There's not a lot of note reading. You'll actually, because I've studied the way that the subconscious mind learns, and you learn best. These are partials. Now here I'm using common tone with that same note. But the subconscious mind, we're waking up the subconscious mind. We're waking up and creating a musical ear. We're augmenting your musical ear, enlarging your musical ear, waking it up. This is how great players like Wes Montgomery, who was considered by many to be the best jazz guitar player ever, him and Joe Pass. I actually studied with Joe Pass when I was 22. I'm 67 now. And he used to even say, it's the chordal improvisation which creates great musical growth. So it's about discovering your own musical point of view. This is not genre specific. If you marry a genre, it can slow you down. My best example is players like Eric Johnson. They've really studied many different kinds of music and studied improvisation so they could begin to develop their own musical point of view and not be so predictable. It's all about leaving your mark on the sands of time. It's not about being famous or making money or getting a record deal. It's about the joy of creating some of your own music. It's about the joy of discovering some of your own musical ideas and then letting them come through on the guitar. There's no better high on the planet. So if something's resonating with you, if something I'm saying is making sense, just go to stevezookguitars.com, scroll down the homepage, buy the guitar ladder system. It's only $199. You're going to make a huge leap, but again, according to the science of neuroplasticity, you'll make more progress if you don't focus on results. I know it sounds like a paradox, but the old worker bee form of education doesn't really wake up the subconscious mind. Folks, we're a walking miracle. Our subconscious mind is so powerful, but you have to respect the subconscious mind, not annoy it, okay? And that's what a lot of learning goes the other way. It's real formulas and left brain, everything. What we do is it's like pouring water into sand. It just soaks in, and you begin to understand the relationship and the chord families. It's really cool. So, and again, this is not just for jazz. I do all kinds of music. But if you want to learn how to move around your guitar and begin to hear your own musical ideas, I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but I guess I am a little bit. I've had people drive over 200 miles, take a lesson from me for $100 a lesson. I don't have a lot of time to do private lessons anymore. And like I said, most of my course is chordal, because that's, even according to Joe Pass, that's where the huge benefits come in, is from the chordal work. And every cycle's a little bit different, but they all reinforce each other. You're going to learn about partials. But I don't go into big, long theoretical raps about all this, because it doesn't help you, okay? What you need is ear training. So even like with cycle 1, when you're doing cycle 1, you're learning, you can see, okay, you don't have to even think this, by the way, but you got the common tone, which is one of the 10 systems of improvisation. Smooth voice leading, this chord's very close to this chord, all the notes are very close, so it sounds real musical. And you just begin to soak it up. So it's a little, Pat Metheny calls it progressive learning. You can't always learn, it's not always the best way to learn by formulas and this and that. Like I said, it's not like rebuilding a car engine or being an engineer and doing step by step by step. Sure, I have steps, but all the different chordal studies help you learn the 10 different systems of improvisation, but they all reinforce each other. But you don't have to think about it. Even Joe Pass used to say, stop thinking so much. If you're always thinking, you're not going to be a very good player and not be very creative and not discover your own musical ideas. We input the information, we create a reservoir of knowledge, we create a framework, we give, like I said in my example a little bit ago, you give your subconscious mind, pieces of the puzzle, and all the pieces fit together in multiple ways. And I get emails all the time from people that say, well, I've been doing your system for a while, and all of a sudden I'm starting to play things that I've never played before, and ideas are coming out, and I'm finding ideas on my guitar. So it's about creating a reservoir of information, like creating an improvisational guitar teacher in your subconscious mind. Folks, I've really got something here. I've got over 30 years into this, and like I said, you're going to learn the 10 different systems of improvisation, but in a very organic, intuitive way, without a bunch of theory and note reading and stuff. And I'm not saying theory's bad, but a left brain approach and a lot of theory and a lot of formulas, your playing's going to sound really stiff and unmusical. This is about being musical. It's about creating a musical ear. It's about waking up your musical mind. So, if you've been playing guitar for a long time, but you just love it, but you feel like, gee, maybe I don't have as much talent as some people, or a friend of mine learned quicker than me or whatever, I'm not even kidding. I've had students that had very little talent that worked my guitar ladder system, and all of a sudden they start creating and waking up their musical mind and discovering their own ideas. Almost, I know this is going to sound like bullshit, but it's not, almost like being born into a more musical family. I've really got something special here, folks. You should take advantage of it. So anyway, what you can do is, now here's a nice chord. This is a bichord. It's a minor 7 and a major 9 at the same time. Isn't that nice? And if you go from that chord to the major 13 flat 5, you get some contrae motion. Isn't that nice? But all my different cycles teach different things, and like I said, you're going to intuitively soak this up, and the less you think about it, the more you'll learn. I know that sounds like a paradox, but the whole music education is much different than, like I said, like learning to be an engineer or an IT repair guy or whatever. Even people like Pat Metheny agree with me about this. Some people call it progressive learning. I mean, Pat Metheny got an honorary doctorate when he was 19. Pretty amazing, huh? One of the reasons was because he did his homework, man. He learned about improvisation, and that's why it's so important that the chordal improvisation and the chordal improvisational studies in my guitar ladder system it's like, I know it sounds crazy, it's like musical steroids or guitar steroids. So if any of this resonates with you, trust me on this. I know that's a big term in today's world, but I'm not some guy sitting behind a desk in a suit smoking a cigar. Nothing wrong with suits or cigars, but I'm a real artist. You can read my CD review. Go to vintageguitar.com, which is Vintage Guitar Magazine. Put in Steve Zook, Stevezook, Stevezook. Read the review of my CD by Mr. Steven Stone. who's bought guitars from me. Folks, I know what I'm doing. My guitar ladder system is the result of over 30 years of hard work. And by the way, if you're into standards, jazz standards, man, this is a must-have. I've had people email me saying they've actually been improvising after working my system for a while and ran right into a standard and started playing their own arrangement. It really works, folks. Sure, it takes time, but the bottom line is the guitar ladder system is not just for jazz. It's it's a guitar improvisational course that will open up your musical ear, wake up your musical mind, help you discover your own musical point of view. Like I said, that I think my example of the puzzle is one of the best ways I've learned to explain this, because like I said, I have visuals of myself as a young boy. My parents had a cabin in the mountains, and we dump out 150 pieces of a puzzle, put the top of the box on the table, and you'd see a picture of a mountain scene or whatever, and then we start taking little pieces of the puzzle and putting them together, and it takes forever, right? It doesn't take forever with the guitar ladder system, but that analogy is really valid. We're giving your subconscious mind the ability to create a reservoir of knowledge about guitar with reference points, that help you learn the 10 different systems of improvisation. So if any of this makes sense to you, if you want to learn to get up and down your guitar neck in different improvisational approaches, you'll be able to do that with the guitar ladder system. So you're creating a reservoir of knowledge. You're discovering your own musical point of view. You can discover your own musical ideas. This is for intermediate to advanced players. If you're a beginner, you can get some advantages for sure. But call me. Let's talk about it. I want to explain a few things. But this is more for intermediate to advanced. I've had people with master's degrees in music actually buy my course because they said, Steve, I'm stuck. I can't compose. I can't play. Folks, you're going to get out of the guitar what you put into it, but most guitar methods are very left brain, very unprogressive, very old school, and music is kind of a Zen thing. There's a mystical aspect to it, but it's about listening and learning to open the channel to the universe or God or however you want to put it, but you have to create a reservoir of musical knowledge in your own subconscious mind, and that's what the guitar ladder system does. Okay, so if any of this makes sense to you, then go to Steve Zook Guitars and buy the guitar ladder system. Invest the $199. You're going to be really glad you did. There's not too much out there. There's nothing else out there that's even close to this, because again, it's the chordal improvisation that's going to give you a quantum leap. Just playing lead guitar is not going to do it, and just playing diatonic harmony and 1/6-2/5s and 2/5-1s isn't going to do it. Great music transcends definition. Great music doesn't just use one form of improvisation. Great music uses several forms of improvisation, but the trick is not to be thinking about all that as you're creating and opening up your musical ear. That's why you just do my studies. You don't have to analyze them. In fact, you'll do better if you don't analyze them. Do not analyze them. It's going to slow you down. And that goes for people that are already doing the system. But you're going to learn about contrary motion, intervallic improvisation, secondary dominant, flat 5 sub, polychords, common tone. Like I said, there's at least 10 of them. But you learn them in relationship to other chords, and that's really key. So again, we're creating a reservoir of knowledge that then is going to help you discover. It's actually going to wake up talent you don't even know you have. This is not bullshit. You're going to create a reservoir of knowledge. You're going to wake up talent and wake up your musical ear, and you're going to progress, at a level that would never progress without the guitar ladder system. So $199 to discover your own musical point of view, a couple hundred studies, a couple hundred videos. Just buy it at stevezookguitars.com. My suggestion is don't fight yourself on this. You're probably thinking, well, that sounds pretty good, but I don't know, a couple $100 kind of sounds like a lot of money. Bullshit, it's nothing, man. $200 is nothing. A great guitar teacher could easily charge, $100 a lesson. You're going to get so much out of this. You just got to be patient, stay positive, stay in the here and now. Trust the system. Don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Just go with the flow and stay positive, and you're going to get a huge, huge benefit from it. But even according to the science of neuroplasticity, you'll get more out of it if you're not focused on results. Focusing just on results, don't be so results oriented, because when you focus on just results, you're putting pressure on yourself, you're putting pressure on your subconscious mind. Just play the studies, listen, work on a study for a week or two, then email me for another study, and you're going to make a quantum leap. It's just like riding a bike, you know. So if any of this makes sense, just go to stevesguitars.com. Don't fight yourself. Procrastinate the procrastination. It really works, folks. I showed some of my material to Ted Green. I took a couple lessons from him, which a lot of great players did when he was still alive. He loved my material. It really works, folks. Like I said, a lot of this is based on the way Joe Pass, suggested to get better on music and guitar and open up. I mean, Joe Pass had a tremendous musical ear, and that didn't happen from a bunch of left brain formulas. It happened from him learning how to improvise. Same thing with Wes Montgomery. So my suggestion is go to stevesguitars.com, scroll down, invest the $199. It's going to be the best $199 you've ever invested. I know that sounds like a pitch, but I don't do any advertising, so all my orders come off my YouTube. But this really works, folks. It was actually my guitar students that got me to get serious about getting this on the market, because I had so many students that had such great results that they kind of motivated me to put this together. All right, so if you love music, if you really love guitar, if you want to take your ability to understand guitar to the highest point in this lifetime, and you want to discover some of your own unique musical point of views, you want to discover your own musical ear, sure, it takes a little time, but it's really a very natural process. It's just like, riding a bike downhill. When you have the open channel, things start to flow. And there's no better natural high on the planet than discovering your own musical point of view, getting your own direction. It's not about making money. It's not about signing to a record deal. It's about the joy. It helps you be happier in life. I know that sounds really corny, but I'm serious. I don't know about you, but guitar and music is my life. I would be nuts without it, But nothing makes me happier than to discover something new to do on guitar. And my students and the people that invest in my course, when they begin to wake up and hear their own musical ideas and find them on the guitar, they are so stoked, So this is really about self-discovery. And I'm not kidding. If you don't think you have a lot of musical talent, you're wrong. You do. You just have to wake it up. Do some people have more musical talent than others? Yeah, that's true. But can it be woken up through the right studies? Hell yes, it can. And I've seen it. This is not marketing bullshit. I've had lots of students with very, very, very little natural talent. I've had, like I said, lots of students with very little natural talent. But once they start working the guitar ladder system, and everybody's different. Some people, it starts kind of unfolding after 2 or 3 months. Some people notice something after a couple weeks. But again, you don't focus on results. You just focus on doing the studies. It really works, folks. It's going to be the best It's going to be the best $199 you've ever invested. So my suggestion is, if you want to discover your musical point of view, if you want to wake up your musical ear, if you want to build a reservoir of knowledge in your own subconscious mind, like creating your own subconscious mind guitar teacher, and begin to get an understanding of music, all styles of music, invest the $199. Go to stevesguitars.com. Do it now. Invest the $199. You're going to be really happy you did. The emails I get from people are just incredible. I've even had some people that said they've been playing guitar forever, nothing's ever happened, and that they worked my system for a while, and all of a sudden they sold a piece of music that ended up being used for a film or TV. I mean, again, it's not about results. It's more about the joy. It's about being happier. As crazy and corny as that might sound, life isn't always easy, right, folks? But I believe in having a positive attitude about life. And playing guitar makes us all happy, but when you begin to discover your own musical point of view, you begin to wake up your musical ear, you begin to find your own musical ideas, no better high on the planet. So my suggestion is go to stevesguitars.com, scroll down, invest in $199. You're going to be really happy that you did, and you'll begin to understand music on a much, much, much deeper level. Okay? All right, folks. So I know we're going through some trying times. This is a perfect time to make some quantum leaps in the musical arena. All right, folks, take care. Go to stevesguitars.com. Don't overthink it. Just invest in $199. Let's get you going. You're going to email me back in a few months and be like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. All right, folks, take care. Bye-bye. Let's all stay positive.